For years, every time I felt anxious, I tried to reason with it, tried to wrestle with it, I tried to resist it. I always felt like there was a puzzle to be solved or a problem to figure out. And once I did, then the anxiety would go away, but that never worked. And the reason is because anxiety is not really a thinking problem, it's a body problem. You can't really talk your nervous system into calming down, but you can talk to your nervous system in a different way, using very specific techniques and tools. And today I'm going to show you the exact techniques and tools that I use to calm my nervous system and help me heal from anxiety. So by the end of the episode, you'll have a toolkit that you can use to do the same. Okay, so this episode, I'm going to keep it mostly practical. You don't need to hear me drone on about how I discovered all the little pieces of the puzzle, but I do need to introduce one of the techniques that I use. So to give a little bit of a backstory, basically, I found that sometimes I could make myself feel better by using positive thinking, affirmations, visualization, but it was so exhausting trying to control my mind all the time, trying to fight the anxiety, and I couldn't maintain those good feelings. So I started looking for a physical tool that I could use that would just it would override my thinking, and it would force my brain to focus only on that thing, and then I could just relax. I tried cold exposure because I knew that has benefits, but that didn't work for me. That actually made me more anxious because cold is so cold and so unpleasant to me that it just triggered more anxiety. But I had this little bit of just inspiration, and I thought, what about vibration? What about using a vibration device? Vibration, like a massager. It feels good. It's soothing, but it also is like a strong physical sensation. So I found something. This is a vibration motor. I got this on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. You can get one yourself. It's like $25. You could use any kind of vibration device. I like this because it's a DC motor and it's very granular. Like you can turn it on like low to high, and it's like it goes from 0 to 3,000 RPM. So this is really low, and then I can turn it all the way up. So I can really control the intensity of it. That's why I like this one. But you can use anything that vibrates, I imagine. I found this and I started using it, and it had a lot of benefits. It was a pretty powerful tool for me. And so this is kind of like my secret weapon, I guess. This is what I like to recommend to people because it helps in a number of areas. And I'll get into that. Now let's get started, and I'll show you all of the techniques that I use to actually heal from anxiety. Okay, so there's 3 or 4 kind of main pillars that I use when I'm doing a session. That sounds pretty formal. It doesn't have to be at all, but when I'm using the techniques to try to work on calming the nervous system and improving my mental health. One is breath. I use breathing exercises, breathing techniques. One is sound. The other is vibration. I'll use that a lot. And then the other is the mental side of it. So this is practicing presence, kind of like meditation, but it's pretty loose, and I try not to put a lot of pressure on it. In fact, that's going to be a really important key here. You've got to understand this from the start. You have to be really gentle. You have to be really gentle with yourself, because the moment you start to put pressure on yourself to achieve some goal, to achieve a, mental state or emotional state, you put pressure on that, and it's counterproductive immediately. It will pull you into more anxiety, and it will slow down the progress. So you have to just really be careful and gentle with yourself. This is going to take some time. If you're like me, you've been dealing with anxiety for a long time, many years maybe. So you've got to give yourself time to readjust and recalibrate. So the first tools that I use are the breath work. I use 2 different types of techniques for breathing. It just depends on how I'm feeling, which one I'll use. And actually, often I'll use both at different times. The first is going to be a slow, deep breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. At least in through the nose. You can also breathe out through the nose, but it's important to breathe in through the nose and slow. And so you're going to breathe in for 2 to 4 seconds, and then you're going to breathe out for longer than you breathe in. Close your eyes, keep them open, whatever. I like to close my eyes because it's part of the experience. I'm creating an experience for my body and my nervous system to say like, hey, you're safe and everything's calm. So I'll turn off the lights and I combine a lot of these things. But let's just start with breathing, and we'll go, in through the nose for 2 seconds and then out through the mouth for 4 seconds or something like that. So one thing to remember and important, breathe through your belly, your diaphragm, and not through your upper chest and shoulders. I always had a problem with this when I was younger. Breathing, trying to get more air in. I didn't feel like I was getting enough air. It's not necessary. You can breathe all through the diaphragm and just feel your belly rising and falling. So you're deep, slow breathing. That's very calming to the nervous system. This is nice because you can do this anywhere. Remember, like, especially if you're in an anxious state right now, like, and it's a more intense state, like, if you're thinking like, okay, I need to calm down, I need to calm the nervous system. So you start to do some deep, slow breathing. You might be in a really heightened state and it might not have the impact that you're wanting it to. So that might make you more anxious. And so this is a part of the process where you're like, you've got to be patient and gentle and just give it time. And, but it is sending calming signals to the brain. That's just, doesn't matter what you believe or not, that's happening. It's just biological. The second type of breathing that I use, I will do this one often if I am in a more anxious, like a more heightened state, because it's like a stronger experience. And sometimes it can kind of calm me down a little more. But again, be careful because you don't want to be putting pressure on it. Like, oh, I'm not calming down. I'm not calming down. Give it time. It becomes a daily practice. You're doing this over time. This is my variation of the Wim Hof method. And so you're going to breathe in and out deeply and rapidly. And I'm always in through the nose, out through the mouth, and only with the diaphragm. I don't want to get my upper chest breathing, especially, is a very anxious signal to the body. You're in through the nose, out through the mouth, but it's rapid and it's deep breathing. And so like he'll have people do like 4-minute sessions. And I've done that before. It's a little challenging for me. Just go with your own, what works for you. Normally I don't do more than like a minute or 2 at a time. And I'm really just counting breaths. So I'm not really timing myself. I'll usually start with 30 to 40 breaths, in and out. And then I will do the holds. And this is an important part of it. And then the next session or the next set, I'll do maybe more breaths, like 60 to, 120 or whatever. But if you do it longer, sometimes the effect can be stronger. So, experiment with it, for yourself. So you do the first set of breaths, and then you're going to breathe out completely and hold it for as long as you can. And you'll find if I hold it for longer than I think I can, I'm starting to get like, oh no, I've got to breathe, but I keep holding it. Usually it makes the experience a little stronger, but again, just kind of experiment with it for yourself. So you'll breathe in or you breathe out and then you hold it for as long as you can. Then you breathe in again and hold that for as long as you can. And it's during the holding periods, these are where you're going to feel the most like impact. These are where like you might have a euphoric feeling. Like it at times can be really amazing and you feel like you're walking on sunshine. The world kind of drifts away and you just like feel like this natural high, and can be a really nice feeling. So I'll do an example of one round and just one set, and you can kind of see what it's like, and then you can take it and experiment with it. Do as many sets as you want, whatever. Do it for as long as you want. Anyway, so let me just show you kind of what this looks like. So that was one set, and it felt nice. The more I do, usually the sensation gets stronger. The longer I'll do the breathing, usually it's has a little more impact. But it's nice, and there's a lot of science behind it. Um, it's something to do with the levels of oxygen to CO2 in your body, and but it can produce a nice, really nice calming effect, and that's a little stronger than just a slow, deep breathing. I've found. I do sometimes also use another breathing technique that you could also do anywhere, and this is called a physiological sigh. So like you'll have a natural. This happens naturally. It's a stress release, but you breathe in almost to the top of your breath, and then stop, and then breathe in a little more, like an extra gulp of air. And that's just, it's natural. You'll find yourself doing this if you pay attention a little bit. Just you watch yourself, and you might do it occasionally. So I'll do this like in a session sometimes after I've done my deep breathing, or it's just like a so that also sends some calming signals to the brain. So that's breathing. The next thing I do is I will use sound. This will send really calming signals to the vagus nerve and stimulate the vagus nerve. I use just like a recording of, I'll usually use brown noise. It's just like it's like white noise, but it's a deeper, like more soothing tone. And I just put that in my headphones, pull up a video on YouTube on my phone, and listen to that as I'm doing my session. And I just let that go the whole time. And it's just a nice added bonus. Another thing you can do, which utilizes not only sound but also vibration, is you can actually hum. Humming is a very soothing thing to do. It stimulates the vagus nerve, your rib cage, everything, your sinuses, everything will vibrate, and this stimulates the vagus nerve. As I'm doing my session, like after I've done the breath work and I've done some slow deep breathing, I might also add in some humming, or a deep breath in and then hum it out, like something like that. And I'll just repeat that. You can do that as much and for as long as you want. So that's sound, and that's soothing to the vagus nerve, to the nervous system. And the other one, of course, is the vibration. So I will like just turn this on, and I'll use it in various different ways. I might put it on my chest, because it's soothing to like it's physically like a massage. It feels nice, but it also is stimulating the vagus nerve. I'm gonna move that because it's gonna sound weird, but it's gonna stimulate the vagus nerve, and it's gonna feel good as well. I might put it on my stomach. I might just hold it in my hand. I might put it on my feet. Have a lot of nerve endings in your feet, and that can be also very soothing, and it will stimulate the vagus nerve. What I like about this is that it's got multiple benefits. Not only will it it feels good, and just pleasure stimulates. Pleasure is a calming signal to the nervous system. If you're experiencing pleasure, the nervous system is going to say like, "Hey, we're safe," So like having that just like soothing sensation is going to send calming signals. But it also, this tool, so one of the most important pieces of learning to heal from anxiety is the mental part of it. It's learning to let go of the worries, the habitual worrying and racing thoughts, trying to find solutions. But that can be really difficult to do when you're in a heightened state. So one thing I love about this is that like my attention naturally is drawn to it because it feels good and it's a strong sensation, especially if I turn it up really high. It's going to pull my attention to this. And so it has become an anchor tool for me, for my mind, in helping me practice and learn how to become present, learn how to let go of the thoughts, the racing thoughts. So I'll get to that in just a moment. But for this, I'll do this. Sometimes I'll put it under a pillow and put it like under my legs, under my feet, under my back, whatever, and just lay on it. And that's nice and soothing as well. So those are the three like main physical tools that I'm using in a session. And I'll do a combination of any of them. Sometimes I'll do all of them. Sometimes I'll just do a couple. Sometimes I'll just do, deep, slow breathing or trying to practice some presence, whatever. I will just do what I feel like I want to do in that session. But I would recommend doing like a full on session, like at least once a day, especially at first as you're learning how to calm the nervous system and you're trying to retrain it. I try to, like, if it's before bed or maybe getting up in the morning or something, or maybe both, where you do like a full on session where you basically do all of it together. I'll turn off the lights, put the sound in my headphones, put the vibration going on my feet or something, do some deep breathing, and then practice presence, just letting go and relaxing, just allowing my body to relax. And that is a big key here, is you're not trying to stop the anxiety per se. Your aim should be to relax your body, because the sympathetic nervous system is going to be in a tense body. That's one of the symptoms of anxiety, is tension somewhere in your body. You're going to feel some tension. But when you're calm and when you're in a parasympathetic state, your body's relaxed, your muscles are relaxed, and you feel, that tension is gone. So that becomes the goal, rather than like, I'm fighting anxiety. I've got to fight the feelings. I've got to stop feeling the anxiety. And that was a huge shift for me, because when I was like constantly fighting or trying to stop myself from feeling anxious, would cause a lot more anxiety. But when I shifted to like, how do I relax my body, or not how, but like I'm using these tools and I'm telling my body it's okay to relax, it made it a different experience for me. So keep that in mind. The final piece, the final tool, essentially, this is the mental tool, then the mental part of it. It's still important. You still need to learn how to, shift your thinking, but you just have to be really gentle with this one. At least for me, I had to really be careful and be patient and be gentle, and if my brain was wandering all over the place and I couldn't stop it, I had to like say, okay, that's all right. We'll try again later, or, we'll just try gently, because it becomes very counterproductive very quickly if you put pressure on it. When I was practicing meditation years ago, my goal was like, don't think about anything. Get rid of all the thoughts. And that became stressful. That was just immediately stressful. I could never do it right. I was thinking all the time. Thoughts were coming in all the time. I couldn't keep them out. And that was stressful. So it became about learning how to let go of the thoughts and allow your attention to land on something in the present moment. That's where joy is and peace is in the present moment. You'll be able to find it in any moment if you can get present. But you can't fight those thoughts and force them out and shame them and say they're bad. You can't be here. You can't think. You can't, it's got to be gentle, and your attention will be drawn to things. You really can't stop thinking so much. But paying attention to something is not really thinking. You're just observing. So one technique I teach people, and it's one that I had to develop myself, because I try to figure out, how do I do this? And using the vibration motor will really help here. But the first technique was like, just learn how to cut a thought off in the middle of it and let it go and not finish it. Because we have this feeling like I have to finish something I start, like I have to finish the thought. But you don't really have to. And so if you say something out loud, say a sentence out loud, but don't finish it. Cut it off in the middle and just don't finish it. It starts to get your brain used to that feeling of like, I don't have to finish this thought. An example would be like, I'd say, hello, my name is Josh, but I'll cut it off in the middle and I won't finish it. So I would just go, hello, my name is, and that's it. And I would just never finish that thought. I'd never finish that sentence. You might find that you just finish it in your mind, but that's fine. You'll get better at it as you go. You're just trying to get used to that feeling of like, I don't have to finish this. And so then you start kind of doing that just internally in your mind, and you don't have to do it out loud. Another technique I kind of use is like a mental etch-a-sketch. You're like clearing the slate on your mind just by blinking. So like I kind of will blink away thoughts sometimes, where it's almost like it's refreshing the turning the TV in your mind onto a blank screen. The mental side of it, for me, is the most difficult by far. It's very difficult, but it gets easier with time. You get better at it as you go. I've developed skills that I didn't really think I could. I've learned how to let go of thoughts. I've learned how to get present better. It's still a work in progress. I'm still working on it, but I'm so much better at it now than I was when I started. And I can get present a lot more often now. Using the vibration device is really helpful for this because it will pull your attention to that, and it's a soothing sensation. So especially like during your meditation sessions, as whatever you want to call them. Like I'll do the deep breathing at first, then I'll slow it down, and you've got the sound going. But after a while, like my attention is just going to the vibration, feeling that sensation, that soothing, calming, nice, pleasurable sensation. The practice becomes like, allow that to happen. If a thought comes in, that's fine. Learn to let it go and gently pull your attention to something in the present moment. But yeah, again, you've got to be really careful here because pulling attention can really quickly and easily feel like forcing attention. And so you're just trying to control it and stop thoughts and stop yourself wandering. That will be counterproductive. So you're allowing your mind, your attention to land on things in the present moment. The sound of your breathing, the sound of the noise in your headphones, the feel of the vibration, whatever is physical, what is actually present in you're looking for physical sensations. Your body has your senses, right? You've got your sight, your hearing, your taste, your touch, and your smell. You're tapping into one of those senses. So you're kind of sensing your way toward calm, toward presence and relaxation. And you're allowing your attention to land on one of those senses. It's always going to be happening. You always be hearing something or seeing something, smelling or touching something. And so the practice becomes, you're just practicing presence, practicing allowing your attention to land on one of those physical sensations. I do this often when I go on a walk. I love a good walk, especially I'll go at night and walk around, and I will just allow my attention to be drawn to the sound of my feet hitting the pavement, or the feel of the ground under my feet, or something that I see at night is nice because I can't see everything as well. So like it's not as overstimulating. This is a practice. It's the most difficult part, but it's very powerful. When you get present, you'll experience this. You'll get present and you'll let go of your other worries and the racing thoughts, and your whole paradigm, everything will change, and you'll feel incredible. And you'll just feel the joy and the pleasure in every moment in simple things, and you'll love it. And then it'll slip away as you are continuing to develop this skill and continuing to learn how to calm the nervous system. And eventually, you'll spend more and more time in that calmer state and in being present. And that's beautiful. So that is it. That's the whole thing. That's the session. I will do a quote unquote official session where I do all of the techniques all at once, or I will just do a mini one, or I'll just do one or two of the techniques, and that's fine. I would say the more techniques you do and the more often you're continuing to send that calming signal to the nervous system, and you're going to help it calm. Make it an actual practice. Like if you don't ever do it, you're not developing that habit. You're not reconditioning the nervous system, but don't put too much pressure on yourself, because then that becomes counterproductive. So that's it for today. I hope that was helpful. I hope that you understand what I'm talking about. I have a guide that's free. I'll put it in the description in the show notes. You can download the free guide and it will kind of guide you through these things. And there's a video kind of showing how I do some of these techniques. That's it. I hope you have a beautiful day. Remember that you're worth healing and you're worthy of happiness and love. God loves you, that I love you, and you can do this. You can heal, you can get better, you can experience joy and happiness again. So, all right, see you next time.